All right, welcome back to another episode of the STL Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm here with a very special guest today. Kait Posey,
Hello.
a rock star real estate agent, and we're going to learn from her secrets to her business and what she's found to be the keys to her success today. So, Kait, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I am too. So, just tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what got you into real estate, maybe what you did prior, and where you're at now.
So I've been in real estate, honestly, 4 years ago, in August. So I did not leave my full-time job until January of 21. So not officially 4 years, but to me, I've had my license for 4 years. And before that, I was working in marketing. Before that, I was working in finance. So my background is kind of all over the place, but marketing was definitely something that I had a lot of fun in. I worked for a marketing agency for about 3 years, and that is kind of what led me into real estate.
Awesome. So you get your real estate license, then it was just like smooth sailing from there, right? Like no hiccups, right? It just took off right away.
No.
So we got started around the same time. So probably during COVID, right?
Yes.
So what was that experience like?
So
take us through that.
What happened with my job is I was working in sales, so I made commission. And during COVID, obviously things shifted and my commission went down a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I have to get a side job or do something to bring in some more income. And at that time, my mom had been in real estate years ago, whenever I was growing up, but she wasn't actively in real estate anymore. And I was talking to her and she was like, you know what? What if we both get our real estate license together? And I was like, this sounds like a lot of fun. We should do it. Because then I kind of knew, okay, she knows real estate. She could train me. And since I still had a full-time job and was planning to keep the full-time job, I would just kind of help her on the side. So almost like a showing assistant or helping her with transactions. So that was kind of like mentality, what I was thinking. So when I got my license in August, I then got married in October, and I was so nervous about insurance, and just with COVID, it was really a scary time. So I waited until January to leave my job, and I did not have my first closing until April. But after April, I have never gone like a month without having a closing. So I think that first year from like April to December, I sold $12 million in real estate. And that is whenever the light, turned on, where I was like, this is really going to be something. And we've only grown every year. So it's really exciting.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So you're obviously very successful now and had a lot of success that first year whenever you went all in. What do you think was the key to that early success and the key to success now?
So for me, it was social media. I mean, I owe a lot to my mom because I honestly was with her that first year. Like, she would three-way me into calls, and that person probably didn't even know I was listening. But I learned from her on how to negotiate, how to write contracts. I mean, you know how it is. You go and you get your real estate license, and you really
that you learned on the exam, right?
No, you need a mentor, and I would recommend that to anyone. And so she was my mentor, and so I owe a lot of that to her. But on the flip side, if I didn't have social media and I didn't have the following that I had grown before I was in real estate, I don't know if I would have had so much success in the beginning. And what's crazy when I look back at it, I didn't just flip my social media from my Instagram page from fashion to sharing my life and my home decor. I didn't flip it and say, I'm not going to share any of those things. I'm just going to share real estate and try to get business from real estate. Instead, I kept my page as it was, and I started sharing a little bit about my job. And I had never done that before on my page because I was working in marketing. And so I didn't really need to. But that is what I found. Our clients felt a connection with us because they already saw other things that I was posting, and they felt a connection towards an outfit I shared or me getting married and having children. And they just saw a slice of real estate. So I feel like when they came to my page, they didn't just follow me because I was a realtor, but they followed me for other reasons. And I think that if I didn't have that from the start, I wouldn't be here, because I probably would have just started a real estate page, and that real estate page would have just been real estate. And I don't believe in pages like that as much as building a community.
Right. So building a community on social media, you have over 40,000 followers, I believe, on Instagram, right? So a lot of people that are seeing your life, your world. Was there any kind of reservations with starting to put real estate content on the page?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think at that point in time, like 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago, call it, I probably had 15 to 20,000 followers. So definitely less than half of where I'm at today. And I was so nervous to post and be more salesy. I mean, I had been sharing links and making sales from clothes or makeup products and doing brand partnerships, but I was really nervous to put myself out there as a real estate agent. And I'm not really sure why. I think I was just worried that maybe I would lose followers because of it. And so that's when I decided, okay, these are my content pillars. Fashion, now it's motherhood and home, and also real estate. But if I look at my 4 pillars, I'm only going to share real estate 25% of the time. I'm going to hit on all 4 of those things every day in my Instagram stories. But when you look at my feed, it's not always just real estate, sharing a new house. So sometimes I even take content, like the other day, my daughter and I was like tickling her or something, and she was smiling up at me, and the post was real estate related, but the content that you actually saw was totally different. And so someone might ask me about the canvas that is hanging above our dresser in that video, because they can see it, and I can share a link, and I can share those links on my story. So it still resonates with people that are following me because I'm still sharing other things in the post, but the actual behind the scenes call to action was real estate.
Awesome. So what I'm hearing you say is it's not just the under contract graphics that you create on Canva. It's real estate content that's relatable to people. And for that reason, you're gaining a huge following.
Yes.
Right. So, and then what I'm also hearing is that you have a very detailed plan and strategy for your social media. You're using it to create, not just to consume, which I think, I know I'm guilty of it, doom scrolling. And so what was it like building that strategy on social media, and kind of what went into that? You said you have a background in marketing, so yeah. I'm sure that played a role.
It does a little bit. And I think, so I still 100% believe that you still have to showcase your sales and that you're doing business.
Yeah.
And telling some of your client stories. And the way you do it just can be different. It doesn't have to be just sold and posting, 4 photos like you used to. I mean, I did do those things. I wouldn't say I did them on my personal page, but we also have a Chris and Kait real estate business page. So we would post a lot of those. And I do feel like as, if you take a step back and think about yourself as someone that might be exploring multiple real estate agents to work with, you're going to make sure that they are doing business and they know what they're doing. Yeah. So I do think it's important to share that. But the strategy behind my page is really just building a community. It's a hobby for me. So I don't look at it as like my full-time job, even though probably, honestly, 80 to 90% of my business comes straight from social media. But I have fun with it. So I connect with anyone that's in my DMs. It's me responding back. I love to do the little voice memos, and I'll voice memo someone back and say, XYZ, Steele loved that recipe. I'll send you a screenshot, something like that. And I feel like I really do try to connect with my followers, because ultimately, when you kind of talked about your target audience or who your ideal client is, I feel like my ideal client is someone that's following me on social media because they connect with my content pillars. And whenever I get on the phone with them, it's just a natural hit. We just connect, and they know what to expect, and they see that I take good care of my clients just by following me on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned the personalized messages. I do the, video messages back for people that give me a follow and different things like that. So that's a great strategy, because I think it just shows you're human.
It does.
So that's awesome. That's awesome to hear you say that. So We talked about what's working right now. Are there any challenges that you're currently working through? Anything that you'd like to improve on in your business, or talk to us about that?
So right now we have had a lot of growth in 2024. And and also I've had growth in 2024 personally with welcoming a second baby.
Yes, let's go.
Yes. So now we have 2 under 2 and life is crazy. And what I've realized is I can't do everything. And as a realtor, you do everything. You are an accountant, you're a marketing expert, you're, at some point, have really a background in financing and
You're a counselor.
Exactly, a counselor. And you do so much. And there's a lot of things behind the scenes that an average person doesn't know that you're doing with admin work. And it's not just the transaction, but it's also anything from lead follow-up to creating emails to there's just so much. And for 4 years, my mom and I have really done everything ourselves. We've never outsourced. We did have a transaction coordinator a long time ago, and she was great, but it was almost at the beginning stages of our business, and I wanted to learn how to do all of that. At that point, I was like, I want to be the transaction coordinator so that I can learn more about the deadlines and everything that goes on. But now we're at the place where I think right now with 15 pending deals, and we kind of head deals or lead deals, but we still are very much in the know of what's going on with each individual deal. So 15 to keep in your brain is a lot, and to just manage the transaction from start to finish while also trying to lead generate and do other things and have a life. We're hiring a full-time executive assistant, and it's one of the most nerve-wracking things ever, because not only as an entrepreneur, you are making income for yourself, and that's a huge responsibility, but I'm now also going to have someone that I'll take care of too financially. And it's a scary thing for me. I know it's going to be okay, but it's a big move that we're taking. And I know at the end of the day, it will help us better service our clients and not stay up until midnight and get up at 5 a.m. because there's just so much that we have to take care of. So I'm really excited about it. I'm a little nervous, but she's a really good fit. So I think it's only going to better our business.
That's great. So you mentioned family, 2 under 2. Talk to us about your favorite part about being a mom, and then how you manage, running a successful real estate business alongside, being present at home and being there for your kids and your family.
Yeah. So real estate really allows you to make your own schedule, but we know that a lot of times you're unavailable on weekends because you're out showing. And a lot of the times you're writing offers at night. What's really nice is that I put my kids down pretty early. So pretty much after 6:30 or 7, I am available. And most of my clients at this point also have young children. So it is nice because I feel like I work with people that kind of understand, I'll call you back as soon as I put them down. And they're like, good, because I didn't want to talk to you during bath time anyway. But I think that's one of the reasons why I love real estate so much, is because today I got to stay home. I was still working, but we went to the park. We hung out. And I think that is my favorite part about being a mom, is actually truly just watching them grow. It's so crazy where we're at the age, he's almost 2, but I'll say something to him and he just totally repeats it. And I'm like, wait, what did you just say? I'm like, if I say, it's behind there, he's like, behind there. I'm like, oh my goodness. So he's growing up really fast, and it's just really cool to see that and to educate them on things too. But I think the key to not even just, being a successful agent with young children, it's really more of I had to get really organized. And I wasn't like that before. I have friends, and one of my very best friends, I'm like, if you could just organize my life, things would be so easy, because she has a plan. I mean, she meal preps on Sundays. She has a cleaning list, and she knows, every other Tuesday she's cleaning this and X, Y, and Z. And I'm not like that. But I have had to change things, and it might not be really fun, but most of the time once my kids are down and my work is done, I have to set myself up for success for a morning drop off because it's hectic. And if I have to be in the office at 8 or 8:30 or have a closing, I know that if I wake up, it doesn't matter if I wake up at 6 or 5:30, it's still, I'm not out the door in time. And so I clean my house to the best that I can before I go to bed. I make my diaper bag. I've literally put bottles in the diaper bag ready to go, and I set it by the garage door. I have everything, like outfits out. We are ready to go so that when we wake up, it's like we put our clothes on, we have our breakfast, and we're out the door.
I'm taking notes.
So yes, so I've just had to I've changed things to make sure that I'm ready. Because I mean, you know how it is, and TMI, but it's almost like I put her in her car seat, and then you hear something and you're like, oh, we've got to change.
We got to blow out.
We've got to change. And so you think that you might have it all together, and it's hard to have it all together. But I do try to set myself up for success with certain things just to make sure that I'm not so stressed in the morning. The last thing I want to do is be like stressed out with both of them and have to go and have a bad feeling. So if I can do that for them, that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. You only get so much time, right, with your kids each day. So you want to make sure that those minutes count.
Yes, sure. Exactly. I'm home one day a week. Like, I will not give that up because weekends, I never know what I'm going to be doing. So thankfully, my husband has it under control, and he's such a good dad. But I don't know if I'll ever give that up. I love it. My one day at home, I love. I try to really just put everything else to the side and spend time with them.
That's awesome. Life by design. That's great. So as far as lessons learned, obviously you've built a successful business. What's been a key lesson that you've learned since you got your license and, where you're at today? Any big mistakes made? Like, we like talking about the successes, but people want to know, like, what were the big lessons learned over the past few years?
I think I have two things. So, I'm in my young 30s. 31. So
there we go.
I feel like even my generation, but especially like my little brother's generation, which honestly, I don't know if he could be a millennial too, but communication is number one. And if you're like me, I mean, if someone doesn't reply to me in a few minutes, I'm going to Google it, right? Like if I have a question, then I'm going to Google it. And with texting, it's so different because I feel like coming from my corporate job, no one texted me. They just emailed me, and I could give it a few moments and reply, or, reply after lunch or something like that. But I feel like with real estate, people want immediate responses. So I'm really good at replying right away. In fact, we're kind of shifting how we're doing this, but my mom and I do a lot of group messages with clients. So that way, if I'm unavailable, she can reply, and we don't leave anyone hanging. But I think what I've realized is when I get a new lead in, which I'm most of the time, 100% of the time, it's from either a referral from a client, our sphere, or someone from social media. Whenever I see that form come in, I am reaching out immediately. Whether it's email or text, they can kind of share how they want communication to be. But whenever I see that come in on my phone, I'm like, I've got to reach out right now, because I think a couple of years back, I had reached out to someone. Maybe it took me a day. And by that time, they already replied back and were like, hey, thank you so much. Like, I was interested, but I actually chatted with someone last night, and I'll let you know if it doesn't work out. And that just killed me, because I was like, I didn't even have the opportunity to connect with you and win you over. But that's probably my number one thing, is just being quick with communication. And that can be hard when you're also managing every single deal that you're working, because you really have to set your phone down sometimes to focus on things. But that's number one. I'd say number two, and this is more about like showings. And if my client listens to this, she'll know who she is. But I had been showing a client for a while. It was like a Sunday afternoon from 1 to 3. There was an open house, and they were like, you know what, we're going to go. It's not the area that we had been looking in, but we are interested. And I was like, do you want me to meet you there? No, we're just going to go. And so I actually called the listing agent and said, hi, I've been showing clients for a long time. We're kind of getting burned on every offer that we're writing. They're going to come by the open house. I just wanted to give you a heads up. She was super sweet. We chatted. And so my clients ended up really liking it. And by the time that they told me, hey, we like it, we want to put in an offer, I couldn't tour it myself. And talking with the agent, she's like, okay, write your final and best. And so we did, and we ended up winning the house, but I had never stepped foot in it. So whenever it came to inspection day, I walked in and I saw a couple things that I would have pointed out. And we ended up they backed out of the deal due to inspection because there was a lot on there. And I don't even know if we wrote in a budget or what really the story was, but I felt so bad for the agent because I think that I had really made a good connection, and
Right.
that's what kind of pulled it all together.
Yeah.
And then I had to call and say, I'm so sorry, but it's because I never had eyes on it. And I think that if I would have been there to point out a couple of things, one, we would have known that ahead of time to consider it in our offer, but it just would have been a little different. So I honestly will not write an offer on a home that I have not walked in.
Mhm.
I just won't.
And relationships with agents is like huge part of this business, right?
Oh, yes.
Having those relationships to where you can pick up the phone and call that agent that you know is on the other side of the deal, and hopefully build that rapport, and that
Yes.
thing is big.
Oh, 100%. What's so crazy to me, just to continue speaking on real estate, is even whenever I sold my own house last year, we had multiple offers and only one agent called me.
Yeah.
And it said agent owned, and only one called me to tell me a little bit about their clients and to fight for them. And their offer wasn't the highest. So I ended up calling him back and saying, hey, if they're willing to do this, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
And that's what sealed the deal. And so it's so crazy to me. I'm like, I don't know if you Google questions to ask an agent, while you're interviewing them or something, if that question comes up, but communication is totally number one, not only with your client, but also with the agent on the other side. We're all wanting the same thing, right?
And I was speaking with an agent the other day about kind of their value proposition and, what they're saying whenever they're sitting down at the kitchen table. And one of their responses was, I'm nice. And there's a lot of agents that just aren't nice.
Yeah.
Aren't nice people.
That's true.
And so that can go a long ways, but agent to agent, but also with clients that you're looking to work with.
Definitely. Yeah, be nice. And I feel like you have to kind of read the room on how someone wants to communicate with you.
Yeah.
An agent might not want to have phone calls. They might prefer text or email. So I feel like you have to kind of be good at picking that up, not only with agents, but also with your client and how they want to communicate with you too. But it is a big piece of real estate, for sure.
Absolutely. So you work with your mom. Tell me, what is that like?
Oh my goodness. It's so fun. So sometimes we do a little day in the lives of like a mother-daughter team. Like I said, that first year, I was with her 24/7. We don't really do that anymore just because we have our own deals that we're kind of working, and we have things that like she's really good at and then things that I'm really good at. And so we try to focus on those things, but it's so weird because I'll have friends say like, how can you work with your mom? She's my best friend. I don't know if it's because my mom has boy, girl, boy, and so I'm the girl, I'm the middle child. I'm not saying that I'm the favorite, but we just really were funny. And we honestly almost sound alike. Like if she were to call you, you would maybe think like, oh, is that Kait on the phone? Because we're just really similar. But we both have different strengths in a way too. So I feel like us as a team, it's great. Like if you asked her where our business was from like a volume standpoint this year, she'd have no idea. But I, coming from my finance background and what I graduated with at Mizzou, that's like, I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way at home. Like I don't pay all the bills, right? But like I'm managing our bills and seeing, oh, okay, this year or this month we spent X on groceries, Y versus last month and things like that. And my husband's like, hey, if you like that, you handle it.
Yeah.
So I handle it. So there's just different things that we do, and it's a lot of fun. We do listing appointments together always. And I think that's really fun because the seller can see both of us. And then most of the time, whoever connects with them more kind of runs with it. but it is really fun. I feel like our clients like seeing us together. I'm like, I wish we could go out and show like together all the time or do phone calls together. But honestly, we just don't have the capacity to do that. So we're fun. It's everything you see. It's totally real. She's hilarious and she's super stylish too. So I'm always like, where did you get that? Or we'll have the same shoes on. We'll show up and I'm like, seriously, you had to wear the same boots as me? That's so but I most of the time I'll be like, oh, where'd you get those? And then I'll go get them. Right. So I'm definitely still like look up to her very
Matching
much.
Outfits.
Exactly.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. So final question. I like to end every episode with this question. What's the most impactful book you've read? And what was the key lesson from that book?
Okay. So first, I have to say, I don't read a lot of books, but I do listen to a lot of podcasts.
There we go.
In the car.
That qualifies. That qualifies.
I was going to say, book, the Moms on Call book. Yeah. There is a book called Moms on Call, and if you have a baby, I would recommend getting it. It's like a sleep schedule, feeding schedule. It's really nice. I follow it, and I feel like that's why both my children by like 6 weeks were sleeping through the night. It's awesome. So look that book up.
Okay.
But so my favorite podcast, and you probably listen to her too, is Jenna Kutcher. Do you listen to her?
I have not heard Jenna.
Oh my goodness. You have to look her up.
I'm learning something today.
Okay. So she's like backstory was a really successful photographer and then started coaching photographers and then grew this business like through Pinterest. And she has a huge team of people. I mean, she's uber successful. But I listen to every new episode. I was just listening to one on the way here, and it was all about your like setting up your goals for next year. But I take so many pieces from her because she's not speaking to realtors. So I feel the same way, like on social media, I follow so many other influencers and people in different industries, and I see what they're doing, and I'm like, I love that. How can I tweak it and make it my own with what I'm doing? Because you're always inspired by someone, but she's always inspiring me to like think outside of the box when it comes to marketing and when it comes to follow-up and communication. And so I'm trying to think of like the one takeaway that I would get from her. And that's kind of hard just because there's so much. And I feel like every episode is jam-packed full of something. But
it sounds like how to stand out in a sea of sameness.
Yes, almost.
Right? Because there's thousands of agents for people to pick from. Like, how can I think outside the box and do something different in my business that no one else is doing?
It's really just connecting. Like, even if you go and look at her Instagram page, Guy can see her family. And so I feel a connection more than just like sell. I think she actually says a lot, and I probably have taken this straight from her, is serve, sell. Serve, sell. So if you are writing an email campaign, serve and then sell. So, and the same thing if you have your email set up, it's like serve with some information on St. Louis, or like for me, I'll link a couple of my outfits that I might have shared. And so I'm serving a little bit. And then maybe at the bottom, I'm selling by showing a client testimonial or something like that. But she does say that. That's probably the one thing that I
come from away. Contribution, deposit, then withdraw.
Yep, right? Exactly.
Awesome. Well, Kait, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Yes. I know that everybody watching is going to get a lot of value from it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was super fun. I was nervous. It's my first podcast, but I think you did good.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you in the next episode.